Hi, Analisa Six here with the Lady of Leo shirt and the Sober Curator to bring you the April 2024 horoscope for the zodiac sign of Scorpio for sun and rising placements. Hi, everybody. Happy April. It's April 1st today, and we start off April with a Mercury retrograde in the cardinal fire sign of Aries. Woohoo! All of April is going to be turbulent AF. I like saying the F word, but you're a Scorpio, so you probably like it too. Turbulent as fuck. You know what's interesting? I just have to say, I rarely get thumbs down on my videos. I don't get enough views, I feel like, to have people thumbs up or thumbs down that much. But when I do get thumbs down, it's usually Scorpio videos. Y'all are so spicy. What about me or what about what I'm saying do you not like? Um, I feel like I tell it how it is. Is that the problem? I guess. I love Scorpios. I love all y'all. I've got so many Scorpio dominant people in my life. Sometimes it's a little much, just like me being a Leo is a little much. I know how it goes. The fixed signs, we're all kind of a little much. I mean, honestly, what sign isn't? You know, maybe Aquarius. Maybe I think Aquarius does the best at fading into the background, but I think that I mean, Aquarius is a lot too, though, if you get in the right conversations with them. Okay, anyways, we're talking about you. April starts off with Mercury retrograde in the cardinal fire sign of Aries at 27 degrees. And the area that this is hitting for the Scorpio horoscope is the area that has to do with your health, your daily routines, and also how you're of service in the work that you do in the world. And so this is a thing that's kind of interesting is that if you are a Scorpio dominant person, dominant meaning your sun or rising placement, and you have a tendency towards headaches or migraines or anything with your head that is constantly an issue for you, this is a really good month during this Mercury retrograde to try to get to the root of that issue. Is there repressed things? A lot of times with health issues, we've got repressed feelings. Aries, we might say that there's some kind of repressed anger or repressed rage that needs to come out in some kind of way that helps to release that tension that you're holding that's causing those headaches. Also, what's your relationship to your diet and exercise routine? What's your relationship to sleep? Are you creating systems in your day that promote good health, that promote good mental health and clarity? If not, what are some changes that you might be able to make to help yourself with that? So all this Aries energy in the Scorpio chart is hitting that sixth house, Sun, the North Node, Chiron, Mercury, all of that energy is there. And so this is a really positive time if you've been thinking about starting a new diet or exercise routine. This could be a time where you're in that period of really trying to figure out what that looks like. And I'm not promoting unhealthy diet or exercise culture. I'm not saying, do something crazy and, bad. I'm talking about things that, if you're having a health issue and your doctor's like, you should cut sugar out of your diet, or you should, go on more walks in the day, like that kind of stuff. Also, if your sleep's been bad, what kind of things can you do to promote good sleep? So Mercury retrograde has a lot to do with you reflecting and reviewing your relationship to those things. We also start the month out with a lot of energy still in Pisces. So we've got Mars in Pisces, and Venus is going to be finishing up her stint in Pisces before she joins the Aries party. And we also have had Saturn and Neptune in Pisces in this area of the horoscope for a while. And so the area that Mars and Venus are starting out the month in is the area that Leo traditionally rules. It's the fifth house, which is the house that rules self-expression, creativity, what we like romantically. And in Pisces, this is a really good time for you to be artistic and creative. It's a good time for you to connect with your inner child and do things that bring you joy. Mars here, there could be a little bit of tension around how or what you decide you want to do. It could be a confusing time for you where you feel like you're trying to find yourself in a new way through your creativity or your art. A lot of Scorpio dominant people that I have in my life are very artistic, whether it's through music or painting, or, I've got a lot of friends who are really amazing writers, and, they they really enjoy expressing themselves in those ways. And so if you've been feeling kind of like you're not doing those things, like if you haven't been creating for the sake of creating, this is a really positive month for you to reflect on that as well. I started painting last year, and when I was painting, I realized that I had a lot of repressed anger, and it was coming out in the painting that I was doing, and it was really cathartic. And I listened to music. I mean, I'm still doing all of that stuff, but that's just an example of kind of like, you know, some of the Aries energy that we've been talking about, where there might be, you know, things that you need to process or work through. Mars is the ruler of Aries, and it's also your ruler is Scorpio, and it's passing through Pisces this entire month. And so this is a time where, you know, your relationship to your creativity in this area is really, it's positive for you, and positive for you to work on anything that's blocking you from feeling confident and expressing yourself in those ways. And it's also a really positive time for you to get grounded in whatever spiritual practice you have. And one of the things that water signs, so Scorpio's fixed water, Pisces is mutable water. The water signs are connected to our emotions and our spirituality, and fire signs are also connected to our spirituality, but the water signs have more of a connection to kind of our karmic path in life, and also how we're processing those things in the ethereal and the emotional in a very deep way. And, you know, Scorpio is a very spiritual energy and a very spiritual sign. And so to have all the Pisces energy trining you, it opens you up more in that way. You might be feeling more sensitive or more emotional in certain ways. And it's positive for you to go into those deep spaces and do some of the subconscious work, you know, or in Jungian psychology, we'd call it shadow work, on maybe kind of where you know, certain fears are, certain repressed feelings are, and how do we release that positively? How do we transmute it? You know, Scorpio is all about transmuting energy. And so, you know, how can we transmute some of this energy in a positive way, and, you know, creatively express ourselves in a way that releases us from anything that feels heavy or tense or hard. And that should help your health too, if you're having these headaches. Venus is going to join Aries at the beginning of the month on the 5th or the 4th, I believe. Let's look, actually. Let's get an exact date here, because what I do, I look at the universal ephemeris, which has universal time zones, and the days are a little wonky. And then when I don't look at the time zone, I kind of like having a neutral time zone, because if you're watching this somewhere else, then it could be the 5th versus the 4th. Let's see. I went too far forward. April 4th. So Venus is entering Aries in the evening. And it also, okay, it is April 4th and 5th, depending on the time zone that you're in. So on April 4th and 5th, Venus will enter Aries, and she's going to be passing through that same area of the chart that has to do with your health and the work that you're doing, how you're of service. And Venus here, you know, she's not comfortable in the sign of Aries, but it's really good for, like, if we've been really focused on other people, if our energy has been kind of being poured outside of ourselves, Venus in Aries is really good at pulling some of that energy back, especially in the 6th house, and saying, you know, what can I pull back and bring back to me? It's interesting. Like, I, as somebody that has a lot of mutable energy, I am somebody that does kind of, my energy kind of floats out here around me. And one of the things that I've had to work on, especially when I do readings, is pulling all that energy back to me. I've been really working on building a container where I keep as much of my energy to myself, and it doesn't just all kind of go floating out here. Because I am a very intuitive person and a psychic person and an empathic person. And so, you know, if I'm not protective and I'm not pulling my energy in enough, it can get so bad that I'm feeling somebody else's physical pain in their body. And then I have that physical pain, and then I have to work at cleansing and transmuting that physical pain out of my body. And it's a lot of work, a lot of energy expenditure. So I've been working a lot on trying to pull my energy back in and kind of contain it. And Venus in Aries in the 6th house for Scorpio, that's a good exercise for you. You know, how do you cleanse out other people's energy and pull your energy back to you, and have, you know, kind of like self-love rituals or routines that help promote good health for you? And Venus here hopefully is going to help out with some of that Mercury retrograde energy that's been happening. On April 8th, we have a solar eclipse happening at 19 degrees of Aries. It's going to be conjunct Chiron. And so, this is going to be a really intense day for all of us. And the area that it's hitting for you is in that area that has to do with your daily routines and your structures and how you're organizing your life and also your work. And so, something it might happen, some kind of catalyst that brings up some wounds or something uncomfortable that forces you to kind of have to look at those things and go, I really need to make a change. I've been doing this pattern. It's like we get stuck in these patterns of behavior just cause, and then we're like, why am I doing this? It's not working anymore. And so this for you could mean like, what you do every morning, how you take care of yourself in the evenings, how you pay your bills, how you structure your day, the way that your relationship to your health is. Those are all themes that are coming up. And also, because this is also an area of the chart that has to do with the work that we're doing, this could also be the way that we structure our work day, and the way that we're organized with the work that we do or at work. Then later on in the month, we enter Taurus season, and that's going to be happening on April 19th. Taurus is the opposite sign of Scorpio. So every sign has an opposite sign. Scorpio and Taurus are the two that oppose each other. Scorpio is fixed water. Taurus is fixed earth. And the area that Taurus hits in the Scorpio horoscope is the 7th house, which is the area that has to do with relationships and partnership. So with the sun here, that means that you're getting all of your relational energy highlighted. So romantic relationships, best friendships, and partnerships. So you might be really desiring deep connection with people, or even just fun, superficial connection during Taurus season. And so some of that energy is going to kind of get brought out of you again and more into how you're relating to others. So that's why I think it's important. The first beginning of the month really is about yourself, because you're going to start getting into that more, I want to connect with others in this way energy soon. Then after the sun enters Taurus, we have on April 23rd, a full moon happening at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So it's happening in your sign. And the area that this hits for Scorpio in a horoscope is the area that rules the identity. It's the first house, and it's our relationship to ourselves away from the other. But because it's a full moon, we still have that sun in the relationship part. So we're reflecting on our relationships, and we're reflecting on our identity within relationships. Full moons are a great time for manifestation and also releasing and letting go. So if we are going through a shift where we know there's a certain dynamic that we need to shed, we need to let go, we need to release, full moon in Scorpio is here to do that, especially when it comes to certain aspects of your relationship to self. So this could be, knowing that you have certain fears, knowing that you have certain anxieties or certain patterns of behavior that aren't healthy for you. This is a positive time for you to reflect on that and say, how can I release this? How can I let this go? Scorpio can be prone a lot of times to feelings of an insecurity or inadequacy that spark jealousy, victimization, and competition. And those might be things that are coming up for you where you're reflecting on, how is that energy serving me? Probably not very well if you are feeling it. So also, what's your relationship to power and power in your life? Do you feel like you show up in your life in an empowered way? Do you feel like you are easily inspired to become, better version of yourself, but for yourself, not necessarily for other people or based off of what other people are doing? How do you get out of those comparison dynamics where Mars in the 5th house could kind of be bringing some of that up too? Those are all themes for Scorpio during the full moon. And it might feel really intense, it might feel really heavy and really intense. You might be feeling triggered, it can be a triggering time. But if you're doing that reflection, like, what's coming up for me during this time, what needs to be released, what needs to be brought in, that can be a really positive thing for you to experience and how you're transmuting that energy moving forward afterwards. And then after our full moon on April 23rd, Venus is going to enter the Taurus party, which I think will be nice, a nice kind of relief from her in Aries, and she's going to be entering that house of relationship. So that's going to be happening on April 29th. She rules Taurus, and she also rules this house. And so this is a really positive time for connecting with people, whether it's a romantic partnership, whether or not you're dating, or even in business partnership dynamics. Venus here is really positive, and she's bringing, a lot of good relational energy here. we feel like we want to connect with people when she's passing through the seventh house. All right, Scorpio, I think that is a good breakdown of your month ahead. If you enjoyed this, hit the like, subscribe button. I guess you can dislike this if you want to. I don't know. I try not to take it personally, but it's just me here. So it's hard not to. But I love y'all, Scorpios, and I hope that you guys have a good month ahead, despite some of the challenges that might come up. Again, just try to focus on, being kind to yourself and giving yourself some grace in finding some new routines that work for you. And yeah, I'll see you guys all next month.